Tefl-Dude here. Now today I'm going to show you 5 different ways to extract text from any document, any PDF, even if it hasn't been OCR'd, it's like a photograph, or any web page that you're looking at. I'm going to show you how to get the text. Now you may say you've seen this video before, you know how to get text from any document, but what happens when you've copied the text? What happens when you paste it? What does it look like? Because all of these items here, I've got 5 of them, they all react differently when copying text, and I actually use 4 of them depending what I want to do with the text. For instance, have a look at this column on the left here, this intern thing. Now when you copy it and paste it, does your paste look like this, where it's columnized? And you know, maybe you don't want it to be columnized, maybe you want it to look like this at the bottom, where after copying it, I'm able to make it like a concertina. It's got its own rhythm, it's got its own endings. So what is it that you're after when you're pasting it? Also later, you know, we're going to be looking at things like when you copy a table. For instance, let's have a look at the bottom here. Have a look at this. Now this item here, I wanted to put it in an Excel document. I wanted it to all be columnized, individual. Can your OCRing function do that? Maybe you need to do that. Well, that's why I've included one of these beasts called Screenshot Reader. It's $10 for life, but you can try it out for 30 days. So do that. Believe me, you won't regret it. I've been using it for 25 years. Actually, you can see here I'm using the PDF-XChange editor, and I use it all the time. It's a free version where you can freely OCR any document. I don't know another PDF reader that does that for free in the free version. This one does, and therefore I'm going to show you how you can simply copy text after OCRing it. Now these other 3, 4, 5, they don't need the text to be OCR'd. They can actually take it from an image. But Microsoft Edge, it needs it to be OCR'd, otherwise it just can't do it. So what I've done for you, I've made this document where we're going to go through each of the editors in each of the text pastings. So for instance, if you're just texting columns and stories and then pasting them, like I said, do you want it to be concertina effect or do you want it to be columnized? We're going to see which one does that. We're also going to see what happens if you're doing a gap fill. You know, are the dots included or are they missing? Do you want that? Is it going to look exactly the way you've done it? Or again, is it going to be a concertina effect, you know, like the way you want it? And then finally, we're going to look at a table. We're going to see that when you copy it, will it put them in the right line or does it mess them around? Because, you know, it can get messy. That's why I've included the Abbyy fine reader, because that is a beast. Believe me, that can do miracles, as you will find out. So later, this table is going to be all filled out, okay? So here, as we go through each one, I'm going to remove these squares to reveal whether it actually kept the original column, because maybe that's what you want, or whether it was able to do single line, you know, that concertina effect, or can it do both? So we're going to go through each one of them. So without further ado, let's start off with Microsoft Edge. We're going to put our document into Microsoft Edge. So I'm going to shoot on over to that video now. Let's get started. Okay, so let's start off with Microsoft Edge. Let's go to our text. I'm going to right click and open it with Microsoft Edge. Now here, where it's not OCR'd, this word was written by me, so it is OCR'd. But notice here, I can't do anything with this text. I can't highlight it. So it does have to be OCR'd. I'll just zoom in a bit more. And I'm going to zoom, not just that column, but all the columns. Look, it carries on like a snake. So I'm going to do Control C, go into Notepad and paste, Control V. And you can see it's copied exactly the columnized effect here. But what if I put it into Word? Is it going to do the same thing there? Control V. And look at that. It's just done it in that kind of one string effect. If you're on the home page, you can click this button, Show Hide, and it shows the paragraph markings. So here you can see a paragraph mark. I'll just do another paragraph. Although it's columnized in one document on the notepad and it's made it one string on Word, you can, if you really wanted to use Word and you wanted it in the column, just Control A, copy everything, and then just paste it into Word. And there it is in the columnized effect. However, it has done it in a way that every line is like they've pressed enter, like that. Equally, you could always copy all of this from Word and put it into this notepad, and then you can have your concertina effect like this. So in a way, you could argue, could we argue that Microsoft Edge has, well, it has actually only put it in the columnized. It's done the original columnized in Notepad, but it has done the single line effect in Word. So here I've put it original column in Notepad, single line in Word. But remember, you can interchange them if that is the case. So in a way, it's quite good. It's quite good. Not bad. For a free thing that you haven't even had to download. So next, let's have a look at the PDF-XChange editor. How does it deal with a columnized effect? Now, before we start using PDF-XChange editor, you need to download it and install it. So here's the link. I'll put the link in the description. Now you can choose to just have a portable version, but make sure you have a portable version that has OCR. This one says no OCR. So if you want the portable version, take that. But I would, if I were you, just install it. And if you want to know how that's done, simply go to, I'll put a link here above to a description where I give an in-depth review of PDF-XChange and especially how to install it at the beginning. So do that first. So here is my document. Now you can see this is OCR. That's because I wrote the text. This is not OCR'd and I can't highlight it. See, I've got the text select. I can't highlight it. Whereas here I can. By the way, if you've downloaded it, you might be on this image. It has two ribbons, which is amazing. So if you're trying to select the text, the arrow is over here. So I'm going to try to select all the text. Okay, I might have to zoom out a bit. Okay, and see if I can do it in a row. Now, you see, it doesn't follow. It kind of does a weird jump. So what I'm going to have to do is copy that first, and then I'm going to copy this. The rest of it I can copy in a row. I'm going to copy that second. So when I go here, you might notice, if you haven't done this before, you should. It remembers your copies. Windows 11 remembers your copies. Just press Windows V. Windows V, and it pops up with what I had. So this was the first one I copied, this second thing. And obviously I do enter the paragraph, Control V again, and finally I'll put in this one. The last one is noted. And you can see it's all columnized. What about the Word document? Okay. I'll put the first one in again. I did a Windows key and V. Okay. and it looks like it is following the path of what is on the notepad. So there is no concertina effect. However, I will give you a little quick clue. If you do want it to be concertinaed on here, you can do it much easier than you can on the other one. You can't do it on Notepad. Now, while you do have these paragraphs, you still can press Control H, and you're given this document thing here, and simply go, it will look like this to you. Simply go More, Special, Paragraph Mark, and replace paragraph with space, replace all, and it's done 109 replacements. So look at that. It has made it concertina effect. It has done a one string, but it can only do that in Word, not in Notepad. And again, you can copy and paste them, but it doesn't do it well. And notice also you've got two spaces here. So now what you'd have to do is go here and do two spaces, one space, replace all, and then it will get rid of that. And then it's kind of properly done, I guess. So you don't have to worry if if we go back to the document here, PDF-XChange editor really doesn't do single line. It does in Word, it will do original column, and in Notepad, it does the original column. It doesn't do single line function. Like I said, in Word, you can make anything single line function, but that's not the point, is it? The point is that's how it is produced. So next, let's look at how Microsoft Toys deals with it. Obviously, you have to download this first, type in PowerToys, you'll eventually go to this page and simply download the x64 one. That's the third one there. If you have a normal laptop, most of us have this. If you have an ARM based, then obviously download the ARM version. But now, I have made a video of this before. Have a look at the link in the description above. PowerToys does a myriad of things, not just this thing. Now, in order to, let's look at our document. Now remember, these three don't need it to be OCR'd. But before we begin, I want to show you, once you've installed PowerToys, you will have to click on this item here. This is the little TV. And up will come these areas like this, text extractor. It says Windows Shift T. However, it won't work for you because maybe when you start this, this is not switched on. So have a look at text extractor here. For you, it might be off. So if I go back, you see it doesn't exist here. The text extractor isn't here. Yours might look like that. Click on More, go down here and click Text Extractor, and then it will work. So as you could see, once we hovered over it, it's Windows Shift T. That's what we need for this. So we're going to use the one that has not been OCR'd because for these three we don't need it. So I'm going to see if I can OCR everything. Now remember, the closer you get, the better the OCR. So the fact that this image is quite small, I'm going to wonder if it's that good. So I'm going to do Windows Shift T, and now I'm going to highlight everything. I have to look away because my window's frozen when I did that. And let's see what we are left with. Control V. And you can see it's all columnized. Once again, you're going to have to figure out some words like a job needs to be separated. You know, some of the words in red, where it's in red, means it's not read the script properly. But still not bad, not bad. Let's see what it does in Word. And in Word, like with the PDF-XChange editor, it's done everything columnized. So Once we go back here, we can say this too can only really read it as column. It doesn't make it the one-line script. Let's move on now to ShareX. ShareX again, type in ShareX, you'll be brought to this page, download it, install it, it's great. What you need to do is, after you've installed it, you will need to kind of run it, maybe every time you start your PC. So I have to run this. Here it is, ShareX. I'm just going to reset the settings because I've got Shift-Alt-S for my OCR function. But they have Control Print Screen to capture a region. The problem is I've got one of these keyboards and it doesn't really have a print screen key. So it's really difficult for me to kind of do. So I had to create this one. And if, like me, you also do, I'm just going to go to the hotkey settings and reset them. Okay, reset all hotkey. So what you have to do is open up this screen, go to the hotkey settings and add one. I want to add a tool, and it's this one, the OCR tool. Look at all those other things you can do. It's amazing. OCR, I have to put my key in, so I'm going to do Alt-Shift-S, and there it is, and that's it done. So now I'm going to click that off. I'm going to go to my document here, and I'm going to do the Alt-Shift-S. And again, you can see this very highlighted magnifying glass. And then I'm going to let go. And here, this is normally not ticked. You get the columnized view, which is really good. Look at that. It's really well done. A, B, C, D, E. Now I can copy that and put it into Word, or I can do single line and I can copy it. And just to show you that I can do that, I'm going to prove it to you. Let's do the row first, copy all. And I'm going to go paste. And you can see it did that. I'm going to Control Z. And now if I do single line, copy all, go back here, paste, and it does it like that. So what we can do now is let's click off this. So in our frame, we can say that basically ShareX does everything. What an amazing tool that is. I use it a lot. Maybe you should too. Okay, so now let's move on to the Abbyy screenshot reader. Now, as you can see here, if you go to the website to download it, you can download it for free. I made a mistake at the beginning. I said 30 days, but it's $9.99, not $900, $10. That's it, $9.99. And if you want to try it for free, it isn't 30 days, as I said, it's actually 15 days. So that's a shame. Everybody's changing their policies these days, so don't worry about it. Let's move on to our text. Once again, it doesn't have to be OCR'd because this is a screenshot reader. So here's my Abbyy screenshot. I've just started it. Now, what's nice about this is if I click away, it disappears. But if I click and press the letter T, it stays there, so it doesn't disappear. So I can do lots of text copying. So what I'm going to do is you can choose the area, the window, whatever you like. You can choose the language. And you can choose, I'm going to choose text to clipboard, but you can choose straight to Microsoft Word. It will literally copy it and open up Microsoft Word for you. Or you can save it to a file and use it later. Or you can send it to Microsoft Excel. That's what we're going to look at when we do the tables view. Or you can select an image. This is quite good because you're in control of what you're snapping. What I mean by is this. Have a look at this. I'm going to copy the text to the clipboard. And as I copy, when I let go, it doesn't automatically paste it. It doesn't automatically copy it. It doesn't do it. It waits for me to press the little icon capture at the bottom. So if I'm not happy with how far I've done the image or the picture, I can change it and then click capture. You can see it doing its stuff. And now I'm going to paste it into Notepad first. And you can see it's done that concertina effect. Not only that, it's kept all the paragraphs. Look at that. If it has a paragraph, it knows it and it's kept it. Look at that. Indeed, there's a paragraph. Maybe that isn't good with the political bit there. So let's see what it's like in Word as well. Again, it does the same thing, but unfortunately, one thing I don't like about it is that the script, it's always in, what is it, Courier New, and I hate that. And I've never learned how to change it other than doing it later. And also the layout, it puts it into its own kind of size, its own kind of margins, its own orientation. So you do have to do a bit of editing afterwards, but it does the concertina effect. So that's that, and you can see there's the paragraph markings. So I'm going to take all that back. Let's go to our file, and here it doesn't do columns, it only does single line effect. And there you can see kind of the winner is really the ShareX. Seems to be the best of all of them. And, you know, even Google did a bit better. You know, it's not so bad. So now we're going to go on to the gap fill. How does that work? Okay, now we've opened up Edge with our text. And all we want to do is, we just want to copy the activity with the gap fill. Control C. Let's go into Notepad. Not very clever, is it? Looks a lot messy. Let's have a look at Word. Okay, at least Word, because it's done this kind of, I want to call it concertina effect, this single line effect, it's good because after every number, like 1 and 2, I can put the dots myself. However, notice that after number 1, it says not to be 1. Let's go back to that text again. So it's got after 1, it should be by their own shortcomings. And by their own shortcomings has number 2. Number 2 should say than life personalities, but that's over here. So it's not done well. It's done even 7 and 8 are together. That is pretty poor. I've got to admit, I'm very shocked by that. So for the gap fill on Google or even Microsoft Edge, I imagine they'll both do the same. I'm just going to put a big X. There's just a big no-no. The numbers are in the wrong place. It doesn't kind of read it as well. Okay, so let's try the PDF-XChange editor. And I'm just going to get my text selector and copy it to the dot. Control C. I'm going to do Control V. Again, doesn't look pretty here. Let me just Control V. Again, doesn't look pretty. However, I guess I could do that trick with the Control H and, you know, getting rid of the paragraphs and putting the gap and replace all. And again, it's done a bit better of a job because if you look, the number 1 is there, number 2 is where it should be. This PDF-XChange reader is not so bad. So Notepad's just a nightmare if you have a look at Notepad. That's just a mess. Again, you know, you can copy it from here and put it into Notepad. So yeah, it's not so bad. You can copy paste. So I'd give it a kind of a question mark, really. But single line, if you paste and copy, but not directly. So I'm going to leave that there. Let's have a look at the PowerToys. How does the PowerToys do? Now zoom in, because the more you zoom in, the clearer anything can copy. It needs to see what it's copying. So I'm going to do the Windows Shift T. That's for the toys. Toys R Us. And highlight it to there. Let go. Okay. Oh, it's here, macros. Remove spaces. This does the thing with the paragraph. I've just made a macro for it. But I do have to have the arrow at the top. Okay, that looks nicer. You know, you've got a space after each one, and you can always do a copy paste there with like a bracket plus 3 gaps. If you wanted to do a dot, you could do like find and replace. You could do something like bracket and replace bracket with bracket and say 4 dots or something, and just replace all. And then you kind of do have your dots. Interesting. So yeah, so once again, I think when we're talking PowerToys, single line kind of, but only because, not really. It's only because Word can do that, you know, that replace text. So that's why that has succeeded. But Notepad, again, a nightmare. Okay, let's have a look at ShareX. Is ShareX any better? Go to here and ShareX. I'll do Alt-Shift-S. That's my magic key. And do that. Now, when it comes up, it shows you already it's done it in a single line. If I say don't do single line, if I say don't do single line, it looks messy like it did in Notepad. However, I think the single line function is good. I would copy this, put it in my document here, and once again, I actually do like it like this, because when I'm using Moodle, when I put quizzes in Moodle, I actually need there to be no dots. I need to put the information after the bracket. But anyway, once again, you could do the Control H, and we can replace all, and there you've made 9 replacements. And look at that, I've got all the dots. So it kind of works, I guess. We could give it a bit of a plus there. Go back to this document and say ShareX. Yeah, does a good single line, like the others. Can't do the column. No one can do it graphically exactly as it is. Or can it? Just wait and see. Let's have a look at Abbyy. Text to clipboard. There we go. Once again, like I said, if I forget, I can just move it later. Make sure it's exact. Click capture. So now it's blank. Control V. Not too bad. It's got the dots. Put a bit of an X there and an X there. So obviously it's not going to work on this. Even if I did paste it there, it's not really going to do anything. You can kind of fix it if you want. You know, you can do that. Take away, you know, make a back step there with a space. You can play around with it, but is that really what you want to be doing? Okay, so now we're going to look at the table effect. And the first one we're going to look at is this one. Now, if I try to collect it all as a table and copy it, and I put it here, it doesn't do a good job. Although, what is nice is all the A's are in a column, so I could copy that, put it into Excel, and then I could put all the B's in a column. So in that sense, it's quite good that at least it puts in a column. When I put it into Word, go here, you see, no, what it's done is it's copied everything in a concertina effect. I don't want that. So in Word, it's not any good, but in this Word, it is quite good. It does keep the original columns. Let me just copy C, copy, and if I go to Microsoft here, no, it doesn't do a good job. So looks like I have to take away that win from Microsoft. Let's go to the PDF editor now. So here it is in the PDF editor. Once again, I can copy everything, copy, and here, paste, and it's done it in a row. That's good. At least it's done it in a kind of row, and if I want to add tabs, I can go 2 tabs here, 2 tabs. I can make everything at least in a row. It would take some work, but it's done it. It's done it in a row. However, here it also has done it in a row, but can it put it into a table? If I do insert table, is it going to insert a table? No, it's not. But at least it's in a kind of table, and maybe you can mess around with it later. And that. So what about here? Let's take all of this out and paste. It's just made it into one row thing, so not so bad. Not so bad. So what are we giving this then? We're saying that it did it in a kind of column. It did columnize it, and it kind of columnized it in Word, but we can't, well, in Excel it columnized it, but it didn't really put it in the columns we wanted. What about toys? Let's have a look. Toys R Us. Windows Shift T, and first of all, I'll do all of it to see if it does it. Do it in there, and it does it in a row, which again I say isn't bad, because at least all of those words, for instance, put across, larger, getting, they're all together. And it's done it in a column. That's not bad. I like that. At least it's columnized. The same with here. At least it's columnized. That's not so bad. Let's give that a win for the column view. Didn't tablize anything, but did put it in columns. Now, is the same going to happen with ShareX? Do the ShareX. I'm going to put it in one big column. Yeah, and ShareX as well. It can do the single line if you wish, but we don't wish. We'd actually prefer it like this. So we would copy it all, paste it in Excel. So that also is a winner for columnizing. And finally, the Abbyy. Here I've got table to clipboard, and I'm going to simply copy that table. There it is. Capture. And I'm just going to go straight into Excel just to show you how good it is. Look at that. Look at that. Everything is in its relative table. It's fantastic. I love this stuff. As for this, kind of a table, and as for Word, and paste it in. Now, it looks like nothing's happened there, but if we go here, we can go to table design. And what I can do is say I want all the borders. And there you can see it is actually a table. That's it. So if we go back to our detail, so yeah, so it definitely made a table in Excel. It made a table in Word after copying it from Abbyy, and it made the columns. That's not bad. That's not bad. So it's kind of a winner for Abbyy in the table function. Okay, so there's our table ready and finished. So remember, if you're going to do text column, ShareX is your go-to guy. It will do single line or column. If you want to do gap fill, probably PDF-XChange editor would be the best. But any of those three, you're going to have to play around with it and tidy it up a bit. But regarding the table, the clear winner is the Abbyy screenshot reader. So if you're into business, you really need to be buying that. If you, it's only, like I said, €10 for life. And especially if you're using tables a lot or taking tables from documents to put in Excel, this is the way to go. So hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe and give this a like. The next few videos, I'm going to be using this very function in order to take extracts from books where there are tests, and I want to put them in Moodle to make Moodles for online tests. So if you're interested in Cambridge exams and things like that, watch out for that video where I show you how to take the text from a book and make it into a Moodle or a document, as your choice is. See you on the next video. Bye for now.